what are some of the misconceptions that people have about neurodivergent individuals? And how can we create a more inclusive and understanding society about them?
Well, one of the misconceptions that people have, can you hear me?
Yeah, very well.
One of the misconceptions that people have is that we have a learning disability. We do not have a learning disability. Most people have a teaching disability, okay? Most of the time is that just because you can't learn one way, then it's like, oh, then if you can't learn that way, then there's an issue with you. But the truth of the matter is that learning is a individual thing, and you have to find out how a person learns. And then once you find out how a person learns, then they can learn whatever it is that you teach them. But you've got to find out how they learn. So it's not really a learning disability. Do we learn slower than others? Yes. Do we forget more often than others? Yes, because our brain moves 10,000 times faster than the average human being. So because of that, we're going to forget a lot more because our brains are thinking more than a normal average brain. All right, that's one misconception. Two, the other misconception is that we're crazy or we got issues or stuff like that. That's not true. Now, some of us do have a regulation or an emotion thing, but that's learned. We can learn how to regulate our emotions. We can learn how to communicate and deal with people appropriately. And let's see, what other common misconception is that we can't be taught. That's one of the biggest things, because a lot of people don't want to label ADHD and dyslexia simply because once you get the label of ADHD and dyslexia, people treat you differently. You know, and it's like I'm smarter than most people. I'm just not as quick as most people because my brain is moving differently than theirs. But when you put me up against it, one of the things, and then on top of that, ADHD and dyslexia is a warrior's disease. It's a warrior's disease. It's a warrior's mark. It's the mark of a warrior. Because all great warriors in history had some form of ADHD or dyslexia. That's why they were so good at what they did. All right. And usually, here's the cool part. When war is coming, the world will produce more ADHD and dyslexic people than normal. So by the time that person is 15 to 20, war starts, and they're able to come in and make a difference. Winston Churchill, John F. Kennedy, Abe Lincoln, all these people had learning disabilities.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard you said that somewhere, and I was like, whoa, because you are mentioning some of our biggest names in history. I never knew that. In fact, I started paying attention to this ADHD, autism, and this stuff during my AI summit, because all of a sudden I realized that about 3 or 4 of my speakers, without me knowing anything about them, are people who have autism before. There's Professor Chrissy Maffidon, that man that is the father of all those geniuses in UK.
Yeah, PhD. PhD.
Yes, Professor Chrissy Maffidon, where his children at 6 years old passed high school maths at the age of 6. Then, and they are twins, both of them. Then their elder sister passed college math at the age of 7. And that lady now has 6 PhDs. So all his kids, all 5 of them, geniuses. I was stunned when the man said himself was autistic. Then I'm hearing of you. I'm hearing of Sherry dealing. And I'm like, okay, everybody around me, what's going on here? Now you're saying it because I picked them for their brilliance. I don't know anything about them. I'm like, okay, this person will be good to speak in this area. This person will be good to speak in that area. So it goes to what we are saying, that some of the people that society thinks have problems, what society has is a teaching problem, like Prof said, right? Where you put everybody learns differently. But the current educational system will put 40 kids into the class and expect them to learn the same way, right? Some like to learn by reading. Some like to learn by hearing. Some like to learn by watching. But nobody picks that up. They just dump everybody together. And then just like my son, my first son, Femi, I must have messed that boy up when he was young with my impatience with him. He doesn't like to read, but he can watch or he can listen. If you give him a book, a novel, when he was growing up, I used to encourage all my kids to read. I would take them to the bookstore. Then I tell everybody, pick one. You can pick 2 books rather. I say it just cannot be more than $20. So you can pick 2 books and then I'll pick my own. Femi don't like to pick books. He wants to pick something that is audio or something that video that he can watch.
Oh man, I am an audio book lover. If somebody says read a book, I'm going to buy the audio and I will spend the 4 to 16 hours listening to that book, because the 16 hours that it'll take me to hear that book is better than the 97 hours I take to read it.
Without understanding it. So it took me a long time to figure that out. I didn't make the same mistake with the younger ones, but because it was my first son, I didn't know anything. So I was just getting upset with him all the time, as if he's lazy, he doesn't want to read, not even getting it. The boy will keep saying, can we get audio of this? And I'm like, audio? Is that the one we are talking about? Anyway, now I said, get out of here, go and read your book. So it's a serious thing for society, and I'm hoping that there are people out here who are learning from this. Like I'm learning from Prof. Every child learns differently. Your own job is to figure out the one that your child prefers. Everybody has genius in them, especially those autistic children. If you can key into how to help them to really go their own path, because they are neurodivergent. They have their own unique path.
And because of artificial intelligence, autistic children are able to communicate. Like those who can't speak, but they can move their hands, they can now type and talk and communicate because of artificial intelligence, when before they could.